So tonight we were lucky to get Ryancurran, the infamous Ryancurran from Mexico last season.
The
The
absolute man.
man who has basically invented the moan. But
Ah,
there it is. He is back with us for, I believe, his first ever interview. And
is.
obviously you've been on the podium a couple of times. Don't know how, but you have been there.
What do you mean you
So,
don't know how?
sure, come on now. Let's have none of that.
Da, 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 da.
None of that now.
Da, 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 da. Don't give me any of that.
None of that. None of that. Obviously, Ryan, you were with McLaren last season, so um, obviously the transition to Haas was a big change. How have you
hmm
found this season so far?
Um, Piss poor.
Do you care to
But if we
elaborate?
were,
Maybe anything that, did
um,
something not go your way, or was it just a season of struggle?
but for everyone that watches the races, you don't know that I do love a taste of a bit of a wall. I don't know. Something about walls just gets me going.
Yeah, because we'll take a look at actually some of your results. So you've actually had a good start to the season in Bahrain. You qualified, was it pole position,
Yep,
and you finished ninth at the end of
eighth.
that, which was unfortunate. You got spun by a Mercedes, so
The Mercedes sandwich.
you probably could have had a podium in the first race, and that was
Mm.
when you were with Ferrari. So you went from Ferrari to Haas. So you went from the Ferrari senior team to pretty much the Ferrari junior team.
Yeah,
Uh,
but I chose to move.
yes, you did. In
I
fairness, you did,
didn't
and
get
I
dropped.
think you made the better move in terms of the constructors.
Yeah.
And then we obviously went to Miami the next week. You
Wait,
scored three
hold on.
points.
Are, are you shaming Glenn Mack?
I am not shaming Glenn Mack because Glenn wasn't in Ferrari at the start of the season.
Okay.
It was Wolves who was your teammate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but obviously after Miami, then you didn't. I don't think you raced. Was it Great Britain? Oh no, you did race in Great Britain. You just didn't finish.
Yeah, I qualified P2, going through maggots and Beckett's, got on
Yeah,
a sausage curb. Uh, yeah,
it's
as
very
I said,
unfortunate to have to see
it's
that
involved.
happen. I think that was your
Listen,
last race for Ferrari, and
Ferrari,
then obviously you were
yeah,
transferred over to Haas in the
Haas.
Netherlands, where you again DNF'd, which is I think quite. Or did you not race in Netherlands? Was that because of the? That wasn't because of Belgium, was it? I think you just DNF'd.
I will check.
Not sure was it Belgium you raced in or not. No, it was Austria you didn't race in. You didn't race in
Yeah,
Austria because of Belgium. Yeah. So you just didn't finish the race. So obviously you had a tough had four opening races, but then Jeddah you actually looked like you were on good form. You had a really good pace around there. You scored the fastest lap and a P4. Probably could have had a podium, would you say?
100%, 100%.
Yeah, you were so
Um,
close.
yeah, just I think was involved in a bit of carnage in the first opening laps.
Yeah. Yeah, you got spun back to the back of the pack, so that was unlucky. You have been quite a victim of carnage this season, which is unfortunate. I think hopefully you will be able to avoid that next season and really, stay out of the walls and stay out of the carnage.
That's what I just realised. In Saudi Arabia, I got spun on the first lap, went to the back, finished P4. In Australia, spun first lap, went last, finished P4. I'm an animal.
You finished P5. Yeah, just to remind you there.
Wait, I swear I was P4.
No,
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 Jinx was P4 with
P5.
me.
James was P4 and got elevated to P3 because his penalty got removed.
So who got P4?
Banter King.
W.
So obviously how have you found being with Haas this season with FaZe McBot?
Safe to say, FaZe McBaugh is going to be a two-time world champion, should I say?
Well,
And
obviously, it's obvious that you're going to support your teammate in this championship battle. He had a tough week out last week, but you managed. You've actually been on a very consistent points run. You've had three consecutive point scoring races. Would you believe it? Um, you scored 2 points in Japan, 4 points in Hungary, and 10 points in Australia. So you've scored 16 points in the last three races, which is pretty consistent. Can you finish off the season on this point scoring run?
um, I mean, Abu Dhabi, I haven't ever done a league race around,
Yeah,
if we're not counting League of Ireland, because I had only got back off my plane from the airport about half an hour before that race, done no practice.
yeah.
So we're not counting that. So yeah, definitely gonna practice it a bit more because as we see in from League of Ireland, I was absolute ass. I think I qualified like 16th,
Yeah.
which is very unusual for me.
And just a
Um,
question, obviously, about you starting here last season. What made you join the league? What made you want to race in this league?
Sham Daddy.
Mm.
Mm.
Obviously, I asked you, but like, was there any other motive that made you want to race? In all honesty, now.
Um, I'm pretty sure I was here since season one.
Yeah, you have been.
Um,
Kajoko wants to know what are your thoughts on Gabri?
Italian man that likes spinning, like myself, but except I'm a bit quicker,
Fair enough. And
and
how
I'm
how are
not
you
Italian.
feeling? Obviously, I don't think we got to interview you properly last week. Um, how are you feeling about Italy actually on Thursday with the sprint race and all that? Especially seeing as Haas are going to be looking to lock out and win the Constructors' Championship in Monza. Do you think FaZe will be expecting you to bring home a good result?
FaZe is always expecting me to bring home a good result, which I don't blame him for, because with my pace, realistically, I should be getting close to a podium every weekend,
Yeah,
which I haven't been doing because
yeah.
of consistency issues. But um,
Because I think if you
I don't.
were consistent as consistent as McBoss, I think Haas would have locked out, would have won the championship back in Hungary or Japan, I would say.
Oh
So it
yeah,
could have been an
100%.
early wrap up. Like,
Yeah. Um, I'm not feeling too bad about Monza. What I will say is, and I am gonna give you a little sneak peek of my setup.
mm,
I am not doing 0-0. It's
yeah,
not
I don't know why you would do 0-0. You would just screw yourself.
happening. Phase no bottles. I am doing a
Is this part of
two.
the Haster plan?
Oh, 100%.
Interesting
Um,
tactic that obviously FaZe would want you to screw your own race for his benefit. Do you not think that's a
not,
bit annoying or frustrating for you, considering you have points to try and, gain in this
not
championship?
necessarily because I have fucked my own season. To put it plain and simple,
Fair
where I
enough.
am in the standings is my own fault. So if my teammate has a chance of winning the driver's standings or driver's championship, I'm gonna sacrifice every race left that I can to make him win the drivers.
That's fair enough. I think if you're willing to work with him and help him, I'm sure he'll appreciate it. And if you can defend off Banter King and Monza this week and do a bit of a Checo Perez in Abu Dhabi, I think FaZe will definitely be very much appreciative of that. And because Abu Dhabi can go either way with the stints and strategies, it's a very um, tough track to keep up with other drivers. So I think if you can hold up Banter King in 2 rounds and you know kind of frustrate him and make him do uh, erratic moves and make ridiculous moves that could possibly screw him over. I think FaZe will even more appreciate that defending, because as long as you're keeping it clean and he tries to make that impatient move, he's the one at fault.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, obviously the plan in Japan was for me, now we aborted this plan last second, but the plan was me to qualify ahead of Banter King, which
yeah,
I'm not sure I did do.
I don't think you did. I think you DNF'd in quali.
Yeah, actually I did.
Yeah,
Got in the curb too much. Um, and the plan was me qualify ahead of Banter, which was definitely possible because
yeah,
I was fairly quick around Japan in quali, that is at least, and start on hards and not let Banter pass. Like physically, just don't let him pass.
yeah. And I think that should be the idea for you going. Even if obviously stick to your race strategy and
Yeah,
maybe pit a little lap later than phase so that you can try and do the hold up strategy. But I think what's important for you as well, that you have to be scoring points for Haas, even if it's very little points, because FaZe will probably be scoring the big points. He'll need you to score the little points just so that you can edge further ahead of Mercedes and Alfa Romeo, because Alfa Romeo has never been more of a threat than they were. Last season they weren't much of a threat with Haas, and now they are. So um, obviously FaZe will be expecting you to just try and get some points in the last two races of the season before your move to Aston Martin next season. How are you
um,
feeling about Aston Martin?
gonna put it plain and simple. The car is absolute ass. The From the TV pod view, it looks like you're driving a tractor. The car feels so wide. It's like the Mercedes. I don't know, I'm just gonna have to get used to it.
But your
Because,
teammate anyway has a bit of potential in Bunsey, so you'll be racing alongside him. Are you kind of excited for that pairing?
yeah, he'll definitely be battling for a high place in the championship. Because he is fairly quick, as we see in Australia.
Yeah,
Just, I don't think that race went his way in the first, few laps.
yeah,
But
definitely.
then again, he finished, where was it?
He
P2?
finished P3 and got elevated to P1 after obviously penalty review, so he did win that race in the end.
Oh, fair play. Yeah, definitely looking forward to it then.
Absolutely. Obviously Aston Martin, they're in a bit of a rut this season. They're sitting eighth in the constructors' championship. They definitely need that more consistent lineup to bring them back into fighting next season. And I fully believe that you and Bunsey can hopefully get that form in and bring Aston Martin to a top four in the championship. Now that might be a bit of a stretch, and you might think I'm high right now. No, Glenn Mack has not provided me anything to snort for this stream, nor will he ever be sending anything.
Well, if we're talking about Glenn Mack here, that's debatable. But let's not
Ah,
get
no
into that.
way.
Um, Obviously, who are Aston Martin's drivers?
So Aston Martin's current drivers this season are Kajoko and Me and God, or Slow Joe Mojo. So Kajoko just signed for Aston Martin there. He used to be with Red Bull. He's with Aston Martin now. So,
Oh, what dude getting that Red Bull?
oh yeah, is that because
Um,
FaZe McBot has been Red Bull next season?
is it?
He is. He's with Wolves next season.
Major rail. Um, no, I quite literally just want to be in the Red Bull because my camera settings are specifically set to the Red Bull. Probably why the Aston Martin feels like a tractor.
Yeah, probably. That's probably why. But hopefully, if we look at the calendar right now, let's take a look at what we're working with. We have Singapore on the first round, so obviously the URC drivers wanted Singapore as the first round. Do you like Singapore as a track?
Um, yeah, I loved it on 2021. I don't think I've actually done anything on it on 22.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, just gonna have to practice, see what track is like.
And then obviously, the next race is we'll just run through them briefly. I know you have something to get to in a couple of minutes. Um, we have Canada round two, Netherlands is round three, Monaco round four. So quite a tough four first races. And then obviously your favorite track, Jeddah, is back again on round five, followed
Thank God.
by Belgium round six. So would those be two strong tracks for you?
I reckon the strongest tracks out of them top six will be Netherlands, Saudi, and Belgium.
Interesting. It's interesting that you say Netherlands and obviously I know you got unlucky in this season, but do you think it might be better next season now with obviously the season three lineup? It looks a lot more cleaner. It looks like obviously all these drivers that we have here now are a bit more cleaner when it comes to racing. Do you think Netherlands can be a bit better maybe next season in terms of the race?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's always better when you have clean drivers that you can trust to leave space if you send it down the inside, and you don't have to be scared of making a move.
Yeah,
Obviously, we've had a taste of I think everyone's being scared at least getting trying to get past one driver this
yeah.
season. Not gonna say names, but yeah,
And
I
obviously
reckon we all know who they are.
we will look at the second half then in the season. It's obviously it's an interesting second half. We got Mexico, Imola, Azerbaijan, Hungary, Brazil, and UAE. Now, obviously, the one track that might strike you there is Azerbaijan. And if you're not a URC season one viewer, you can go onto the channel. I believe it was sometime around April. If you go back to around April time, there is a URC Baku feature race, and you'll
Oof.
see me with no smile.
I can also give a quick summary of that race.
So the race, I can summarize it even better. I said lights out and away we go for the final fucking time. I said that exact words in like pure whispers. Then I think into turn two, Ryan and you were fighting Bluefoot and Bluefoot spun you into the wall. So I
Yes.
think that brought out a safety car. A couple more laps down the line, Aaron McCann is leading over Faze. They go to the
One on him.
castle section. Aaron McCann drives into the wall. Apparently, had a brake failure, and then Faze has to divert off the track, drops position. Glenn Mack takes the lead and wins the race. It was a crazy win for Glenn, but the race was the most depressing thing I
Calling
have
Aaron
ever seen,
McCann.
and the fact that we're returning back there
Is
um,
exciting.
on the 8th of December, so Christmas month. Oh, Merry Christmas to the URC with that race. But Abu Dhabi is the finale again next season, and Brazil is obviously round 11. So, how are you actually feeling towards the finale next season? Sorry, next week, Ryan. You're going to be witnessing your teammates. Yeah, hopefully, you'll be trying to calm him down and relax his nerves, and because I think he has told me that he mightn't admit to it in person, but I think he's feeling a little bit of pressure with this championship. So, what will you be telling him before the race? What will you be talking to him about?
Obviously I will drive up to Clonmel for that race. Um,
Why would you drive to Clonmel for that race? You're racing.
I'm gonna bring my whole sim with me.
Seriously?
Yeah. I'm gonna give him a few hugs. I'm gonna put my hand on his thigh
Hey, hey, hey!
and do it.
Not for the stream. Not for the stream.
Um, and then we're gonna lock the door and
Aye.
talk
Hey, Ryan. Ryan.
talk about the race and other things, and then we're gonna race. I'm gonna go straight on in turn one, kill Banter King. I'm joking.
I don't think you're joking.
We'll wait and see. Um, yeah, Banter King. I'd watch your front left into turn one. Um, I have a habit of ramming front lefts. It's very entertaining, especially when I'm in a Haas and you're in a Mercedes.
So mainly, what's your objective for next season? Do you want to be a podium contender like every race next season?
Yeah,
Do you think you can
yeah,
win?
plans.
Do you think you can win the championship?
No, not a hope.
Ah, come on. Where's your faith? Where's your hope?
Look at it like this, right? We're going off LOI tiers, right?
Yeah, but
Just.
Ryan, I'd love to see you do well. Like
Oh, I will do well. I just won't win championship.
you might though,
But I won't though.
but
You
you
have
might.
drive.
Like Ryan, it's actually a very diverse like grid. Like we have like at least four drivers up for contention next season. We have Rayan, we have S Junior. I have no idea what Daniel Mullen's pace is like. We got Banter King, we got OP Gamer, can definitely improve. We got Bunsey, we got FaZe, Kajoko, Marley and Griffin are going to be an iconic pairing in AlphaTauri. Like, there's a lot of contention in here for this championship next season. Like, that's why FaZe thinks that season three is going to be the best season in terms of the drivers' championship.
Um, yeah, I do definitely have a very strong teammate again. As I did have the world championship this season, world champion this season. So, hopefully I can get my first constructors championship, which I think is on the edge of being secure.
It is, yeah. So I think what I would think is if Haas are to get a 1-2 in both formats, like so in the sprint race and the actual feature race, that would be around 50 to 60 points gained for Haas. So I think that would lock out the Constructors' Championship going into Abu Dhabi, because I wouldn't see Mercedes scoring a 1-2 with Wicked Red's current performance. He's only got 16 points across um 10 races, which isn't good. You've managed to get 34 across 10 races, so there's actually a bit of a difference there. You've been at least somewhat consistent in the second half of the season. Wicked Red, obviously he's missed 3 races, but he just hasn't been that consistent driver that Banter King has wanted him to be. Um,
Yeah, I'm currently fighting, well, I would say S Junior, but I don't think I can get him. I'm currently fighting Wolves in the Drivers' Championship for P7, which isn't great because I've done every race except for Austria this season. Bunty's done one race and he's only 9 points behind me, which in my eyes, it's absolutely terrible.
well, Bunty's points didn't even go to him; it went to McLaren. But obviously, I know what you mean. Like he was able to get 25 points for Red Bull. Like um, on his first race, he was easily able to get a win. So you can see where his pace is there in some tracks, and obviously Australia has been taken out, but I think Bunsey has a lot of tracks here that he can perform strong in this, but definitely maybe Singapore and Netherlands and possibly Saudi Arabia and Belgium. I think he loves these tracks, so we could see Bunsey doing very well with alongside you, and hopefully you can avoid that carnage that you have been caught up in this season as well, because you have obviously been caught up in carnage in the midfield, and the URC in a midfield is never where you want to be. You
Oh
want to
no.
be either at the front or at the very very back to avoid the carnage, and you have been in the middle a couple of times, so it has been unfortunate for you. But look, Um, Thank you for coming on for the interview tonight, and thank you for joining this podcast.
Very
Um,
welcome, chap.
will you invite me to the Phase party?
I will indeed.
Okay, because I want to motivate Phase as well. So
Alright.
look, I'll let you go, and I'll end off the stream here. So that has been... Stop that, filthy animal. So yeah, as we said, that was Ryancurran on the podcast. Ryan, stop moaning. Seriously, I'm actually going to mute you. Stop it, Ryan. Right, so I'm back again. So, obviously, we just had Ryancurran there on the podcast, and yeah, so we have Monza this week, and I'm going to run you through the full standings just so we can get an update, and I don't have to do it then on the night of the race. So obviously, FaZe McBot is leading. I don't know why he's called FaZe McShit. Who edited this? I didn't do that. FaZe McBot then is P1. Banter King is P2. So FaZe has 148 points. Now he didn't score in Australia, so he needs a scoring in this race to really extend his lead. Banter King, he was unfortunate not to win the Australian Grand Prix due to penalty reviews, but he got 12 points, so he's on 142. The gap between them is 6 points going into Monza, so it's still a close gap. This fight is still pretty much on. Ryan is P3. Himself and Marley are level on points, actually 83 points equal. So there's a fight here between them for the last top 3 position in the championship. Marley is eager to get that top 3. That's all he wants is this season to finish 3rd. Griffin is a very respectable P5, so he finished 5th last season, and he'll be obviously looking to keep that as well, keep that 5th place streak going. He's on 72 points, so he got 6 points actually in Australia, so he got back-to-back points. He's had a very consistent points run since I believe since Jeddah. So Griffin has been scoring points since Jeddah, so he's on a very consistent points run. S Junior could probably be up where the lads are. He's on 48 points, but he's had a very consistent start to his season. He scored 8 points in Austria, obviously the sprint race. He won that sprint race, and then he won next week in Japan, and then he got a podium in Hungary. And then unfortunately, despite getting pole in Australia, he DNF'd in the early stages of the race. 7th is Wolves, so obviously he was the Ferrari to Alfa Romeo to Williams driver. He's on 35 points, so he is starting to make a recovery in this season. Obviously he's had some high and lows, but he is on a recovery drive, and hopefully he'll be improving now in Italy and Abu Dhabi, which I need to change on the standings. But I will do that. Ryancurran, as we interviewed tonight, is P8, and he's a point behind Wolves, so he'll be hoping to get ahead of him after Monza. P9 is Glenn Mack, who's actually had a good second half of the season. His first half wasn't so good, but his second half he has had 2 P4 finishes, so that podium is close. We'll just get out of the Aston Martin here, and we'll just go to the Mercedes car. Then in P10, the last of the top 10 is Wicked Red, and he has had, obviously quite a couple of poor results, but he is P10 at the moment. He's had 1 podium this season, and that was in Miami. P11 is Storm, who is level on points with Wicked Red. So Storm was a new driver this season, and he's actually made some pretty good steps up the table. He got 4 points in USA before the break, and he's been scoring some good points ever since then. He has gotten 8 points in Hungary, and he scored 4 points in Australia. So he has been doing fairly well in this last stage of the season. XD Harrison was another new driver over from CTCR. He has scored 14 points. He's had a good second half of the season since he's joined. He scored 10 in Austria after multiple penalty drops, and he scored 4 points in Japan. But that was his last point scoring. Since then, he didn't score any in Hungary, and he didn't start the race in Australia. 13th is Pa Kenny. He has yet to hit double digits this season. He's on 6 points. His best result was Austria in P8. He was probably on for a top 5, and he just got unlucky. Gabri again. Gabri is 14th. He is on 2 points. His best finish was Austria and Hungary, both finishing P10. So he's had 2 points finishes, considering he's only started the league very late. But hopefully he'll be looking to improve at his home Grand Prix on Wednesday. Bunsey, as we said, he's the new driver, so his points last Thursday went to Red Bull, and he got 25 points. So he has a race win under his belt going into this week, but he doesn't have 25 points. He has 0. He starts as a McLaren driver fresh. Just going to change the standings here. I needed to put Daniel Mullen in here, so I'm going to do that. Moon Guy, then we're yet to see him start. He will be racing in Italy though on Thursday, so he's on the Red Bull, and he'll make his debut. Daniel Mullen is in P17 in McLaren, so he's the newest McLaren driver with Bunsey. So McLaren have their second full new lineup. He obviously hasn't raced yet. Kajoko, he finished P2 last week, so he got 18 points from the McLaren team, who he reserved for. He's racing with Aston Martin, so he's in P18. Obviously, from P15 down to 20, have no points. That's just where they are. They could probably change in the last 2 races. Slow Joe Mojo, again, a new guy. He didn't score any points last week because he DNF'd, so he got really unfortunate. Then there's been OP Gamer, who's been with us since Austria, and he hasn't had a points finish yet, which is unfortunate for him. He's just had some really unfortunate luck. He's very quick in LOI, so he has the pace. He's just been caught up in a lot of incidents, and he's just been on the receiving end of the incidents and hasn't really been able to get the points that he really wants. So that is the Drivers' Championship going into Italy this week. We'll take a look at the constructors. So Haas, after 10 points from Ryancurran last week, they have 182 points. So they haven't passed. So the all-time points record by a single team, I believe, was Williams, and that was 250 points. So that is the most points in URC history that a single team has scored in 9 races, and Haas have scored 182 points in 10. So Williams still hold that record from last season. Mercedes are on 163 points. They started the season on quite a high, getting a win in Bahrain. I think it was a double podium or something like that, maybe in Miami. A Great Britain, obviously they got 12 points. Then they got another win. They got what was it? They got 30 points in the Netherlands. Banter King did win that race. They scored 7 in Jeddah. They then won in the USA after a week after that, taking back the lead of the championship. And then obviously they've had a bit of a rough 4 races after the break, scoring 9 points in Austria, 15 in Japan, so a recovery drive there, 2 in Hungary though, and 12 in Australia. So it's been quite bumpy for the Mercedes team. In terms of Alfa Romeo, they are actually level with Mercedes, so they can jump to second if Mercedes have a bad weekend. Alfa Romeo started off the season on a high, starting on 24 points, and then they got 10 points in Miami. Marley managed to recover to 5th. And Great Britain, obviously Jack Hurston's reserved for Alfa Romeo, so he won that race. Netherlands then, Alfa Romeo picked up another P5, so that was a 10-point gain. In Jeddah, they had a disappointing race. It was 4 points gained. And then in USA, obviously Marley came back to score a podium and get 15 points. So Marley has really been consistent for the Alfa Romeo team in the first half of the season. Austria then, Alfa Romeo picked up 10 points. Obviously, there could have been more if S Junior had finished that race. But then in Japan, he definitely had a very good race, getting 31 points for Alfa Romeo. And then obviously in Hungary, they got 33 points with that double podium. So um, Alfa Romeo have had two very good races in the second half of the season. Australia was a double DNF, so it was their worst weekend in this season. Alpine sit fourth for the first time in their history in this league. They had 155 points, so they trail the P2 and P3 by 8 points. Alpine have had a pretty rough first half of the season. 10 points in Bahrain, 12 in Miami, 2 in Great Britain, 6 in Netherlands, 17 in Jeddah. So this is where it starts looking up for the Alpine team. 24 in USA, 49 in Austria with that 1-2 finish, and obviously Ryan as well I think he qualified P2 in the sprint race, so Alpine almost got the maximum points from the sprint race. Japan 10 points, so a bit of a decrease there. Hungary 17, improvement, and then Australia only 8 points, despite Griffin's fantastic recovery. McLaren obviously have been a team of top 4 defending in this league. They started off the season on a really good high actually. 12 points in Bahrain, 12 points in Miami, so back-to-back P4 finishes. 16 points in Great Britain, 15 in Netherlands. They dropped off a bit in Jeddah, getting 8 points. USA they got 11, so a good and okay first half for McLaren. I believe they were fourth going into the first half of the break of the season. Australia they hit the ground running with 19, 8 in Japan, 0 in Hungary, their first ever really no points scoring in the season, and then bounced back in Australia with 24 points to put them at 125 points, and they sit 30 points off Alpine. So a little bit of a gap between Alpine and McLaren, but McLaren will hopefully bounce back in the last 2 races of the season. Red Bull have been a team that have really been on and off this season. They're at 71 points, so they're getting closer and closer to 100, but they haven't been that team that they wanted to be. 0 points in Bahrain, 19 in Miami with Kajoko's podium. Great Britain they had 8, Netherlands 8, Jeddah 0, USA 0, Austria 10, Japan 1, Hungary 0, and then obviously Bunce won them a race in Australia, so that's what's put them ahead of the bottom 4. Ferrari again, a team that's underperformed. 62 points they currently sit on. 17 in Bahrain, 5 in Miami, 0 in Great Britain, 0 in Netherlands, 3 straight DNFs for Ferrari, and then 4 in USA, 12 in Austria, 0 in Japan, 20 points in Hungary, their best points finish of the season, and then 4 in Australia last week. Aston Martin then were quite consistent in the first half of the season, 8 points in Bahrain, 9 in Miami, 19 in Great Britain, 12 in Netherlands, 10 in Jeddah, and then 0 in USA. So an alright first half, but then after that, Aston Martin have not finished the race. They've had 5 straight no-point scorings, and because of that, they're in 8th and 3 points ahead of AlphaTauri. And obviously, as the table goes down, it shows kind of like the worst results really. AlphaTauri have been a team that have had those worst results. Only 1 point in Bahrain, 8 in Miami, 1 in Great Britain, 1 in Netherlands, no points in Jeddah, 12 in the USA. So looking good for AlphaTauri here. 11 in Austria, 4 in Japan, 1 in Hungary, and then 16 points in Austria. Their biggest point gain this season. And then obviously Williams are P10. So the current constructors champions are 10th and last place, and they've had 0 points in Bahrain, 7 in Miami, 2 in Great Britain, 2 in Netherlands, a podium in Jeddah because of S Junior, 3 points in USA, 8 in Austria, 12 in Japan, 0 in Hungary, and then 1 in Australia. I think the Williams team were looking good actually in that Australian race, and then I think they just lost form. So that is both championships. Hopefully you've enjoyed that interview and obviously the build up to the Italian Grand Prix. I'm pretty sure we've been streaming. I'm not sure how long we've been streaming for, but thank you obviously for tuning in and liking the stream. Hopefully you are excited as I am. Um, for Monza, we'll be looking to start the race around the lobby around half eight, and I'm gonna put an announcement out because obviously it's a sprint race, it's extra time, and you know, the drivers obviously they have school, people have work, I have work the next day, so and college, so it's just a matter of getting everything smoothly done. Um, and yeah, this will be the second last race of the season. Um, we then have Meebles. Thank you for tuning in. Obviously, I hope you have a great race tomorrow night in wheel to wheel. Best of wishes for you. I see you coming in there. Thanks very much for tuning in. We have Abu Dhabi next week, which is the season finale. Hopefully, I'm hoping it's very close. Because it would just be a fantastic finale. I think it would be a great way. Personally, I would enjoy it because it would mean a lot of the work in this league has paid off. To see a championship finale look like that would be really, really good for me anyway. Thank you, Wolves. Appreciate it. Really do appreciate it, man. So yeah, Abu Dhabi is back on the calendar. It wasn't on the calendar a couple of weeks ago, but I've tried to make URC like a storyline. So there's always stuff happening with tracks, and we'll just say, I tried to make it interesting, saying Brazil had some complications, and now we have to race in Abu Dhabi for the finale. It's just to make the league a bit more exciting, make it a bit more different. So Abu Dhabi is next week, at 9 p.m. and that is the finale. That will be the last race, and then we actually get started straight away again. We go for season 3 on the 6th of October. So we're straight into the next season because I want to finish before the new year, so that when it comes to Abu Dhabi, season 3 finale, we'd be saying Happy New Year, because it'd be 2 days or something like that till New Year's Eve, and then we can obviously start fresh then with season 4 in the new year. Wolves, no preseason because I don't think the drivers need a preseason because you're pretty much familiar with the cars now, and I just wouldn't have the chance to do a preseason. With the time and all that. But hopefully, when LOI ends, actually, I think LOI will end and then won't start till the new year again. So we might be able to race on different days, depending on availability and what suits other drivers. But yeah, it's a really interesting calendar. I do like it. I think there's a track there that we just haven't raced on, and Singapore round 1. I think Singapore. I have a good connection with Singapore. I've watched it. I've seen it. I've set foot on the Singapore track. Not many people can say they've done that, and Singapore. The track means a lot to me. Obviously, then we have Canada in round 2. So Canada, I know a lot of people don't like the Canada track, Montreal, the circuit, Gilles Villeneuve, but I think it has to be raced on. It just has to be. It's such a, the wall of champions. It's at such a notorious corner. Then round 3, obviously Netherlands. Netherlands has to be seen. Netherlands is such a great track for racing. The overtaking opportunities into turn 1 is really where you see the action. Obviously, then we're bringing back Monaco. We raced Monaco last season. It was probably the most spread out race ever. This season, hopefully, it'll be different. Next season, hopefully, it'll be different. Jeddah returns for round 5. Jeddah was actually a good race this season. I did enjoy Jeddah, so I'm happy to have it back. Belgium, I had to bring back Belgium for round 6. I feel we got robbed of a good Belgium race last season because of a glitch on the F1 21 game. And Belgium is meant to be a much better race than what we had last season. And then obviously, as we've introduced now into our seasons, we have season breaks. So we get a week break, just to relax and look back at the season, look back on stuff that needs to be improved. And then we go to round 7 in Mexico. So we were supposed to race Mexico this season, but I think not a lot of people liked Mexico. I think one or two people did, but I just didn't find Mexico appealing, and but now it's a sprint race next season, and we're definitely going to have it because the week after that is San Marino. So we have a couple of races in December, so Christmas season. Imola is on the 1st of December. Then we have Azerbaijan, which is a bit of a nightmare to return to, but Baku is a good track. It's a good track for racing if raced on properly. Round 10 is Hungary. Obviously, hopefully we won't have the same issue we had with Hungary like this season where I had to restart and it just caused carnage. Next season that will not happen for Hungary. Round 11 is then Brazil, so Brazil will be back next season, and then the finale will be held in Abu Dhabi. So that is the calendar. That is me done for tonight. I was just bored, so I wanted to talk about the league and do an interview for Ryan, and then obviously talk about the build up to Monza this week for round 11, which I can't believe. 11 rounds, 12 weeks of URC has just gone like that. Like it's amazing. It's actually pretty hard to believe like that it's been. Yes, Wolves, go ahead, ask your question, please. I'm happy to answer any questions that a driver may have. Can I take over the URC TikTok? Actually, I beg, I'm a nice editor. Well, like, I think the part of me with URC is I like doing the TikToks, so I do enjoy doing that, and I have time to do it. Like, it's not like I'm busy or I don't have time to do it. So I'm actually really happy with running because I like to build a storyline with my like my TikToks. Like they kind of link with my Instagram posts on how, like with the interviews, I try and make it as realistic as possible. Same with the TikToks. I love doing the TikToks for the races and the starts and then just having it all to watch back like and I just enjoy that part. But yeah, so unfortunately I won't be letting you take over that. So because like you have a role next season to work on, and that's Red Bull. Um, that is obviously that's what we're just looking for. And that's just what we're looking for, you know. We're just looking for a good season, and yeah, that is me done for tonight. Thank you to everyone that came out. Obviously, Meeples, thank you for joining as well. Wolves, again, thank you for putting in your questions and your comments. Again, they're really appreciated. Obviously, Connor Marley came in for a couple of questions, and then obviously S Junior had its questions, and Kajoko joined as well. So obviously, the support on the YouTube videos has been have been really good. And I think if we look at the actual, like if I just go off the stream in terms of the racing, so if we go back to Bahrain, like the views have been insane after, like Bahrain got 64 views, and 99 for the first one. Pre-season in Spain got 79 views. Britain got 93. Netherlands got 92. Jeddah got 74. USA got 88. Austria got 109. So 109 people watched Austria, which is insane. What am I looking at then? Japan got 86. 85 for Hungary despite the carnage. 81 for Australia last week. So I really do have to thank the viewers, to be honest, for watching back the races if they've missed the live stream. It just goes to show that people are enjoying this championship, and I think when I was making this league back in when I first made this Discord back in college, it was called University Formula One. So it was called, like, I think it was ULF1 first, and then it was UF1, so University Formula One League, and that just didn't go to plan. We couldn't get the members, We just couldn't recruit the drivers. The season never really kicked off, and the Discord was it was a bit messy. It wasn't really organized really well, and then I kind of thought of just doing the URC, the United Racing Championship, and obviously I made the league a bit better. I made the server a little bit better. I designed it a bit more. I was fortunate enough to get a 20 LOI drivers in to race for the first season. And obviously it was messy, but it's going to be the first season. Never is never going to be easy. Um, and then more people just started to join. People from different leagues started to come in, because they saw what was going on in the races, and obviously they liked what they were seeing. The URC got partnerships, with which HRL, Heroic League Racing, and Heroic Racing League, and obviously ECR, and we got obviously partnerships with other leagues as well. So URC was really expanding, and then when the decision to go international, so like to move out of Ireland because it just wasn't going to work, that sticking to an Irish-based league wasn't going to work for us. We weren't going to get the members, and that's when we started getting people from the US and the Netherlands and the UK. So we have people from all different countries, and hopefully we can expand that even more. We have people from Italy. We have an Italian driver, and we have we have a couple of British drivers. We have two Dutch drivers, a driver from Malta. We have a driver from the US, and then obviously the majority of the drivers are from Ireland. So it's a very diverse league, which is really nice, and everyone's getting on pretty well in the Discord. So that's really good to see, and the driving standard has improved this season. Um, and Yeah, it was needed, because I think I would have never have met you. I wouldn't have met Rayan. So you know the the league is going to be something else next season. Hopefully we can keep expanding, and if a Division 2 can be established for the URC, that would be great as well. And but for now, I think what we have with the first division, the main division, it just kind of shows there's competition to get into those seats, and everyone is fighting for a place. We're getting reserves in. We got three new reserves in, actually. Like, we got three new guys. Over the past 2 weeks, we've had a couple of new members coming in, and some old people coming back as well. So it's great to see that people are getting back into the league, and Bunsley wasn't supposed to be racing this season, and he's joined back. So it's really good to see that the interest is still there with some of our former and new drivers. So yeah, good night everyone, and see you all on Thursday at 8:45 or 8:30 for Monza for qualifying, and then the sprint race, and then the feature race, because it's the penultimate race of this season. Anything can happen.